Why? Why is the bottle broken? It snapped. It wasn't like this yesterday. I come down to do some pouring and it's broken. Well, I do have an idea how to fix it, sort of. An artificial cap. So let's just do that before we start, by using one of my gloves. All I'm gonna do is just put this over the opening and hope it's a good enough seal. Because this is just strange. Is it possible for the hardening agent to break the bottle? Or was it solid on there and did someone else try to open it up? I don't know. It's just weird, and hopefully this doesn't go bad. The resin's not cheap. I just hope it doesn't go bad. But we will be doing another set of dice, so that should be fun, as well as the dump mold that you can see over there. Well, let's get started with the safety stuff. Like you saw, the nitrile gloves and the mask that is rated for fumes. For coloring, I'm going to be using purple this time. This batch we're going to be mixing up 100 milliliters total, so that's 50 in each cup. We want to pour the thinner liquid into the thicker liquid, so we're first going to pour in the base, which is the A side, the thicker liquid. We're going to be pouring it up to 50 milliliters total. Okay, 50 milliliters poured. Now it's time to do the B side. The numbers on this measuring cup are very hard to see, so I'm actually not going to be pouring it on camera. I'll have to do it up close to my eye in order to actually see it. But once again I am pouring 50 milliliters, just like before. Okay, we're finished pouring that. So now all we have to do is mix it together. And yes, I'm going to be putting back on this makeshift lid. Once again, I hope this works. But if I have to buy more resin, that's going to suck. Okay, now that that's poured, we're going to mix the two together by pouring the B side into the A side. Since a thinner liquid will be able to mix much easier. Once they're all mixed, we're going to very calmly and slowly stir the two together. It's important to mix slowly and calmly in order not to introduce air bubbles into the mixture, or at the very least, reduce the amount you will get. Here I'm scraping the walls of the container just to make sure I get all of the resin possible. And we're going to start mixing. As you can see in real time, this is how slow I'm going to be going for the entire mixture. The entire process is going to be done at this speed. And I only really mix for about 4 to 5 minutes total. What's going to happen is the mixture is going to be turning cloudy, as you can see. And your goal is to slowly mix it until it returns to being clear. So now it should be a lot more cloudy, as you can see. Some time has passed. And with this, it should come back much clearer. Soon. Alright. And as you can see, it's a lot clearer now. And that's how you know that it's been incorporated. When it's gone from clear to cloudy, back to clear. you'll be ready to add in the color. So for this, we're going to be doing purple dice. A nice translucent purple. So we're going to cut open the tip. I'm going to add a stain onto my table. New color, new stain. A little bit more than I would have liked, but oh well. Oh, 1, 2, and 3 drops of alcohol ink, and that's it. And we're going to mix this together. Doing so very slowly. We don't want to incorporate more air. Alright, now the mixture is mostly incorporated, all mixed together. Well, we're gonna start pouring. But first, make sure to lay down parchment paper. You don't want to make too much of a mess. We're going to be using the same mold as last time, and I'm going to be pouring from a high elevation, nice and slowly, in order to reduce the amount of air bubbles that get into the mold itself. This time around, I am going to be spraying this part of the mold with isopropyl alcohol in order to remove as many surface bubbles before putting the lid on. Just a little squirt is all is needed, and it'll pop any bubbles that appeared on the surface, as well as any bubbles that continue to appear later on. It's a nice way to remove bubbles. Squirt them both with a little bit more isopropyl alcohol, and I'm just going to let them sit. I let them sit and wait for quite a while, or at least the dice I let sit, before putting on the mold in order to remove as many bubbles as possible. I believe I waited about 5 minutes before I put the lid mold, the cap back on. Now that it's been about 5 minutes, we're going to be putting the cap back on the dice mold. Adjusting the camera a little bit. And we're going to be lining up the keys. We're going to be lining up the long key, and we're just going to let it fold on top of itself. Pushing it, adjusting it slightly, and making sure that each of the keys are inserted. Being careful not to put much pressure on the actual dice parts themselves when pushing together the molds where the keys are. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's what I decided to do. All that's left to do now is wait till tomorrow, take them out of the molds, and see how they turned out. It's been 24 hours. Let's set this one aside for now and start with the dump mold. This time there was next to no flashing for the dump mold because I was much more careful filling it. Alright, I'm just going to finish poking all these out, and they turned out pretty nicely. As you can see, the flashing is fairly minimum, and there are no bubbles in them whatsoever. Much better than last time. Time for the main piece, the dice. How did they do? Hopefully there were no bubbles. Please don't let there be bubbles. Please no. but, well, no. There are bubbles. It was another failure. Well, let's just see how the rest of them turn out. Oh. Okay, that's better than what I was expecting. It looks like the only bubbles were just there on the surface. Everything else is very clear. A little void there, but other than that, only some surface bubbles. Much better than last time. Next time, however, I will spray the lid with some isopropyl. See if that takes care of the surface bubbles as they appear. Let's go one by one, starting with the D20. See how it turned out. Ooh, that's quite the edge. Right there, and like the other one, bubbles only on the top. The D8, or is that the D10? The D10 turned out quite the exact same, only bubbles on the one face. Bit of flashing, not that bad. Can just be ripped right off. The percentage dice, likewise, very clear, just bubbles on the face again, on that one. Starting to sense a pattern. Well, let's have a look at the D4. And yep, just as I thought. One face full of bubbles, the rest clear. And through the actual dice, clear. Couple voids here and there, but all in all, a lot better than I thought it would be. I mean, I thought there wouldn't be bubbles at all, but considering that they're only there on the surface, could have been a lot worse. Ooh, the D8 as well. Not as many though. And finally the D12. Let's see how that did. Okay, it's about the same. Well, let's do some sanding, see if we can get rid of some of those bubbles. Last time was a failure, but this time, maybe it'll work. I don't have high hopes for it. Let's try it out with the D6. We will be using Zona paper for this. So I'll be starting with the first 3 layers of Zona paper with wet sanding, using a pipette to put moisture on the sandpaper, or the Zona paper I should say. We're going in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction 50 times before moving on to the next dice. And that little edge, hopefully it gets rid of it, but something tells me I'm going to do a lot more sanding on the D20 to get rid of that lip. Not really much to say other than sand each face and work your way down the types of paper. Alright, we're almost finished sanding. And once we're done this, we'll begin inking. I have a bit of an idea what I want to do with the inking. You'll see in a minute. Okay. Everything's all cleaned, dried off, and ready to go. Let's first have a look at the... got rid of a few of them, but most of them are still there. Just like before it was a failure. I'll have to do a better job at preventing bubbles from the start. Likewise, the D20s. Ooh. It's not even that reflective either. It's not that great of a surface. My plan is to paint the highest numbers on each dice gold and the lowest black. So let's try that here on the D6 first, to see if it looks good, before committing on the other dice. I'm filling the number full of paint and then going to wipe away the surface with a piece of paper towel to remove all the excess paint. This gold paint does dry very quickly, a little bit too quickly for my liking, but it is a really nice gold, I have to admit. But that's something that can also be cleaned up with some isopropyl. Now for the other side, the wand. I'm going to be using a black for this and thinning it out with some water. This part is very tricky because I do not want to get the bubbles, only the number, as best as I can. I can find it. There it is. Oh. Let's wipe it away and see how it looks. I gotta say, I do like it. So let's do this with the rest of the dice. If it wasn't for the bubbles, this would look a lot better, but all in all, I don't mind it. It's alright. Well, let's do the highest numbers all gold. Now I need a third color for the everything in between. I'll go with a silver for that. But first, there is a problem with one of the dice that you'll see with the percentage dice right here. That's the zeros are supposed to be 100 and 10 is supposed to be the lowest, if I'm correct on that. So it's a miscoloring there, but it's whatever. And there we go. All painted up. Using a silver for the dice in between the highest and the lowest. Trying to highlight which one on glance so you can see. Well, so far this set turned out the best. Thanks for watching, and bye.